To see the fully uncut version of this video, head over to patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons.
What's that like to live deliciously? Chaos reigns.
Please don't scream.
Nah, Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Happy holidays, one and all. My name is Jonjo Lyons, and today I'm here to present to you my review for Christmas Cruelty. Written and directed by a whole bunch of people with names that I can't pronounce, Christmas Cruelty stars! All of these up. We follow a serial killer and his victims as they all prepare for Christmas in their own ways. This year, it doesn't matter if you've been naughty or nice. Santa is coming to town no matter what, and he knows where you live. How you doing, my favourite people in the world? Welcome to a very special Christmas edition of the show. You can tell it's Christmas because of my beard, and before you ask, no, it's not snow. It's Santa. For this year's special, I wanted to cover something that was actually Christmas related, so now your holiday season will be blessed with the extremely strange Christmas Cruelty. This seems to be a labour of love for the group of filmmakers behind it, and while I appreciate the coming together and achievement of making something, the way they go about it is so supremely weird, so perplexing that I just don't know what to think. It's like certain aspects of the film are done so well that I couldn't wait to see what came next, but what came next was done so poorly that it made me question whether or not the filmmakers had ever seen a horror movie before. Horror movie story structure is an element especially lost on the filmmaking team. That being said, get ready for an ending that upset me quite a bit. But before we get into all of that, I just want to remind you, you can see this video completely uncut and early at patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons for as little as $2 a month. Make the holiday season that I'll be spending on my own just a little bit more bearable by subscribing. But why are you spending it on your own, Jonjo, I hear you ask? Well, just look at me. Just f***ing look at me. But anyway, I'm in the mood to be slowly turned insane by one musical montage after the next, so let's not waste any more time. Get ready to see what's inside Santa's sack! This is Christmas Cruelty. The movie begins with a slow pan showing a bunch of people bloodied and restrained set to sad music. The movie also has the audible cherry on the cake with a baby constantly crying its little lungs out. So far, so typical. This fella then appears, takes off his jacket, rips open a condom, and it's one of the women, as in the background we can hear a man screaming no. Less than a minute in. Good lord. The intruder tells the kids their mother is delish, puts himself away, ties the mum back up before going into another room looking for toys. He pops most of them down in the living room, then goes to plug in his brand new circular saw before deciding he might as well do the smallest one first. Listen, feel how you want to feel about what you just witnessed, but damn, that's how you open your movie. Cut to the opening credits as a band plays a gig and this fella tries to chat up this woman, Eileen, who's wearing a t-shirt with Brandon Lee's crow on it, so you know she's a woman of refined culture and character.
I want Brandon Lee's crow to sex me in my mouth.
She walks away and so he joins her at this table where he continues to be a piece of shit. This guy Magnan then appears behind them, telling Eileen's would-be suitor to f*** off, then gets him removed. They order more drinks as the credits continue to roll and we get this shot. And it just goes on like that. I'd play more, but I'm scared the music's gonna get the video flagged. But yeah, that's all it is. A slow zoom on this woman's face while she's delivering this monologue that we'll never get to hear. Such a weird choice. They finish their drinks and we cut to them at home making Christmas decorations, much to Mag's dismay. He then calls their friend Per retarded and makes him tell the story of how he got that way.
Bil med elektrisk dør, og så de trykt på knappen for å ta igjen, så mistet jeg ned noe, og når de bøyde meg ned for å plukke opp, så kom døra, skviset over mitt.
Mags then goes on to say that Per continued to use screens while in recovery against doctor's orders, leading him to be crippled and a retard. His words, not mine, alright?
Hjerneskadd, fet, liten Asbjørn Brekke på hjul.
Jesus Christ, Mags, mate, calm the down on the boy, will ya? Aline then says tomorrow must be more his style before telling the origin of December 5th, aka Krampus Day. Every day is Krampus Day for me. I Krampus morning, noon and night. Cramming that puss full of nickels and sand. I don't know how to have sex. She says Krampus is a creature travelling with Santa Claus who dealt with naughty kids. On December 5th, people wear scary masks and try to scare the living shit out of each other. Max seems well up for this and gets Per involved as we cut to them making their masks set to what I assume is Norwegian folk music.
Krampus var en stygg jävel med horn och spisse tänder.
Cut to Per trying to remove Mag's mask when it's revealed he didn't use any Vaseline, causing the plaster to attach to all of his facial hair. We're then subjected to a far too long scene of them trying to remove the mask, leading to this joke.
Hva mist alt og hårvekst i ansiktet, eller?
Ja, det er en del igjen. Resten er inne i maska,
We then get the exact same joke with the roles reversed. Oh, and Aline talks about how Krampus was created by the church because they didn't want Santa Claus to be perceived to be doing anything evil. Her dialogue has a way of sounding like somebody else wrote it, which they did, obviously, because it's a movie, but you know what I mean. Just doesn't sound natural at all. They then talk about the barn gnome, apparently another evil little when Mag announces he's finished his mask. Cut to the trio now in costume as they scare people in broad daylight. They do look like a fun bunch though. A fun bunch of montage addicted swaddlers. Cut to this shot of Aline as images of the killer's face randomly flash up, clumsily transitioning us to his office where he's joined by this woman. She gives him some gingerbread men and he tells her he's got some good news. But then his mind starts to wander.
Ja, han vel bort på Marit og et. Bondag bort med Marit I dag. Og det skikkelig populært Torgeir hem.
Don't get me wrong, I get what they're trying to do here, putting us in the killer's mind and visually representing the obsessive thoughts that he's having over the woman who just popped her head in the room, but now.
Ja. Han vil faktisk tilbyde fast jobb.
Ja, men herregud.
I absolutely hated this choice in practice. Cut to outside as the woman leaves and the music comes in like it's gonna be another musical montage. That is until this guy stops by the killer's office to tell a joke or a story.
Ja, tysk sagt. Det betyder fitte. Og kraft betyr saft. Tenkte da. Hvor pinlig det ble.
I don't know. Either way, it's not funny. And I hate to repeat myself, but hell, look at this editing.
Ja, nei, du får ha boka.
Ja.
What kind of drug was the editor on when they tackled this scene? It's giving me motion sickness. Anyway, the guy fails to get a laugh, so off, leading us into the next actual montage while a ballad that feels weirdly 90s to me plays. Eventually, the killer gets bored of his work, so pops a floppy disk into his PC, brings up this woman's pic, licks the screen, then whacks himself silly into one of those shuddery orgasms you only get from masturbating to the picture of someone you plan to murder. He then cleans himself up as the editing reaches new heights of meth abuse. The Meatloaf music video continues as the woman runs about and the killer licks the gingerbread man's face, f***s him with a knife and then eats his head. He finally pours himself some coffee as we transition with a seamless audio mix. Here we find the lads trying to buy a Christmas tree, which just goes on and on. It's literally just a long scene where they buy a Christmas tree. We learn nothing new about the characters. Mags is a Per's a wheelchair and I don't know who the this tall is. Friend? This scene progresses the narrative by introducing tall friend. Hat tall friend.
Januari. Hva koster? 235 kroner. Ja,
det er en grei pris.
Where the is Santa? The tree seller offers them some Dutch cheese, which they try and are shitty about, then head off as we cut to Aline decorating the tree as Mags and Per make mulled wine. Mags complains it's not strong enough, so pours a bottle of whiskey into the mix. Unsatisfied with the result, Mags throws us into another montage as he pours every liquor known to humanity into the pot, ending with a bottle of fizzy Per was saving for New Year. With all the alcohol gone, Mags announces the brew is finished and takes it into the living room. Here he continues to be awful to be around when he goes after Aline for taking too long with the tree. Mags then grabs the mugs and they all take a sip of his concoction.
Ja, hun søkkan helvete I granskauen. Det her var gløggen sin, det.
Can't be any worse than my dad's homemade eggnog. The secret ingredient is homeless semen. I suppose every semen is homeless after you shoot it all out over that picture of the Queen and Princess Diana's corpses 69 in Christmas hats with a bit of tinsel. Where did I even get that picture? Aline then asks Mags to play a song with Per requesting the one that he wrote for Veronica, which he does.
I've been wandering alone in the dark.
In a perfect American accent.
Till seeing you set off a spark.
For just under 2 whole minutes.
My love for you will always cut through.
I do like the very next line he says after he finishes though.
Likte hun?
Ja, da, jeg fikk noen purter til slutt, så jeg regnet med det.
He's a but I like him. Aline pulls Mags up on his opinion of women and we get another long list of reasons to hate him. Aline then drags Per into it, who agrees with her, causing Mags to go off on another tirade about how dumb he is. He then returns to cussing out women as a species, which I could go into, but honestly, we're 37 minutes into the movie already and I just want my Psycho Santa! Where the is he? He wasn't even wearing the costume in the opening. Will the costume even be significant? They're calling this Norway's first slasher, but in order for that to be true, we need more of the costume. It's a fundamental basic rule of the slasher. Even Norman Bates had a costume. And slashing for that matter. How has it been this long since the last time someone died? What the is going on? Finally, Mags calls an end to this bull with a let's party. And wouldn't you know it, we get another musical montage.
Lonely night gives lonely feelings.
For sake, the music isn't even Christmassy.
Still you know you'll reach the door.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the filmmaking team behind this movie usually shoot music videos. I tell you what, Per wants to be careful. He'll fall and end up in a... Wait. What's one step below wheelchair? Coffin? This madness finishes with Mags giving the fish a drink, followed by the tree, and we cut to Per with something to say.
Magne, du en pirat.
Det forklarer alt.
Thanks for your input, Per. In response to this assessment, Mags jumps on the tree and everyone laughs as we cut to Per frozen outside. Finally, a death! Oh, even if it's not by Santa's hand, I just want someone to die. What the f***? There's an icicle coming out of his mouth and he's still alive. Inside, Mags is waking up under the tree with the worst hangover he's apparently ever had. Both men remember Aline and wonder where she is before getting up to search for her, with Per stopping off for a quick vom on the way. They eventually find her sleeping in the closet like this, and we cut to the trio all dying in the living room. Not dying in the way they should be, just in the way that anybody who drinks professionally might. Aline says she needs to go home, but Mags is unable to drive her on account of still being drunk. Per instead offers to drive and takes Aline to his ride. Ah, Per, you cheeky little devil. I see the game you're playing here. Everyone knows that the warmest part of the human body is the female vagina. Just pop that box on your crutch and you're going to have a toasty little journey, my friend. Cut to yet another montage as we watch Per slowly drive Aline home. In an exciting turn of events, we cut to the killer's perspective as he watches the pair then follow him as he drives away, eventually ending up at his family home. Inside, he's greeted by his daughter and the pair discuss Christmas tradition while the editing once again goes off the rails.
For hans himmelske far skal varme og lyse akkurat.
Kan du dette julespillet?
Ja, du må huske på det at det var...
At the dinner table, the family eat as the killer's mind once again races with images of a blonde woman and Aline. Once again, I get what they're trying to do here, but I just hate it. If it was just the women and the murders, I'd understand, but it's the weird cutting in of angles of the people that are actually in the room with him that is doing my head in. Extremely overboard, extremely irritating. They send the kid to bed as we see our heroes going into a store, then cut to the dad reading his daughter a bedtime story.
Synd I 2 deler. Ta det godt av døde menn, enten de døde av sykdom, eller på sjøen, eller drepne med våpen.
She finally falls asleep and we cut to the killer with his wife having a cheeky drink. He tells her he can't stop thinking about a poor girl and a guy in a wheelchair saying they're gonna have a horrible Christmas. Oh, are they? When?
Så jeg må bidra på min måte, så jeg slipper å bekymre seg for nyår I hvert fall.
Snill du.
Det må være såpass.
We're nearly an hour into the movie. Get to the murder, please! Cut to Santa entering his grotto and popping on the radio, starting up another montage. Here we watch as he looks at surveillance photos of Aline, has a drink and sparks a cigar. Cut to the trio now talking about eating disorders, with Aline again sounding like her dialogue was copy and pasted from Wikipedia. Per lets in boy band Shrimp, the that was trying to fuck Aline at the start of the movie, which Mags of course complains about. Shrimp enters and is immediately a creep when Mags brings up what Shrimp and his mates used to do to Per in school.
Det bryter ben på, bare på faen. Herregud, det var jo alle som mobba han da.
Oh, and there's another guy in there, in a hat, playing guitar. The movie didn't deem it necessary to introduce him, so I thought I should. Shrimp calls himself a bad boy for Aline, who counters by calling him a sucker, which Mags decides is cause for celebration, grabbing a bottle of bubbly out the kitchen. He hands it to Per, who pops it, shooting this poor in the face with the cork and breaking his nose. Mags then picks the man up and says he's gonna have to take him to the ER. That's when Psycho Santa finally enters wearing his mask and asking who's been good this year. And he just sort of walks in. No tension, no fanfare. He just walks in and no one seems to mind. Shrimp doesn't question this, instead announcing he's been good and getting a gift in return. A hammer to the head. Over 50 minutes into the movie. 50 minutes. Well, it's here now, so let's just appreciate it while we can. Aline jumps on Santa's back rather than running straight the out the door, leading to her capture. Per tries to help by biting Santa's leg, but instead catches a kick and is also restrained. Santa then starts smashing Shrimp's head in with the hammer as Aline finally tries to go for the door. Oh god, Shrimp's brain is a puddle now! To be fair, it wasn't in great condition to begin with, but still. Santa easily catches Aline and dumps her on the bed before going to grab Per. He dumps him down as Aline falls off the bed, then closes the blinds and takes off his mask. He then grabs some knives and pops on a record before putting Aline back on the bed and cutting her leg restraints. And then... yeah. He's interrupted, however, when the doorbell rings, so puts on his costume and goes to answer. At the door is hat tall friend and a woman who the killer lets in before attacking. Santa kicks the knife into the door frame in a pretty sick move, trapping the woman in place. He then binds her legs before returning to hat tall friend and cutting his head off. Absolutely brutal. Where the has this been all movie? We're going to talk about that later. Santa then takes the head and pops it down on the side while he takes a piss. Hilariously, he's unable to get a good stream going with the head looking at him, so stops for a moment to face it away, which does the trick. He then taunts the woman with her friend's head before returning to the bedroom and plopping it down in front of Per. Finally, he picks up the knife and tells Aline he wants to ride the fire truck. And a bit of a warning to our more sensitive viewers out there, I didn't know what ride the fire truck meant either. Well, it means this. He then sticks his face in it. Then continues the, Aline's gag then comes off and she's able to squeeze out the words "I can't take this anymore" when the killer pulls this face and starts stabbing her. Over and over and over again. Like, way too many times. And she's doing that thing of not screaming while it's happening, like she's already gone into shock and she's just catching them over and over. This savage and upsetting, which pisses me off. Now finished, the killer gets off Aline and throws his used condom at Per when he sees Mags is calling. He's at the front door with broken nose, of course, cussing out Per for not answering. They then leave and we never see them again. Thanks, Mags, it was a pleasure. You'd think with how much of a that character was from the beginning, he'd get some sort of satisfying conclusion, but no. Inside, the killer announces he's gonna take a shower, and if you think it's been way too long since the last musical montage, then you're in luck. Here we see the killer wash his costume, take a shower, and then make a sandwich, a process that we see from start to finish. He then takes a seat on Per and eats, offering a bite to the severed head. After chilling for a bit longer, he grabs his sack, then puts Per back in his chair. The killer then consults his notes, remembering Per has brittle bone disease. Jesus Christ, that looks silly. Ostermontag silly. The killer then goes into the other room and complains about the lack of power tools in the house. Cut outside as we get another song and it transitions from night to morning. Back in the apartment, the killer gets Per's bank code, gets dressed, and we watched in mind-numbing detail as he slowly walks over to the store, picks out the chainsaw he wants, pays for it, then turns and goes back to the apartment. Anyway, back at the apartment, Santa kills the woman in the hall, then approaches Per before getting a call from his daughter. He has a quick chat with her, then gets to it, cutting Per to pieces. And finally, with all of his victims taken care of, Santa writes "Merry Christmas" on the wall, bags up the various body parts, and the film finally comes to an end. The end! Well, what the did I just watch? Did I just watch a musical? Christmas Cruelty is a movie that had the potential to be something truly special, but makes the inexplicable decision to spend the majority of the film following his timid little mate and their female friend who may or may not be a cybernetic organism. I just do not understand what happened here. The story is simple enough, with a group of innocents targeted by a psychopath who very much enjoys dressing up as Santa. Not so simple, however, is how this story is told to us, saving all the action for the opening and closing moments of the film. In the middle, we're left with this unbearable open wound weeping pus down our narrative trouser leg, filling our socks with the foul-smelling and sticky fluid of missed opportunity. And the montages? What the is going on with the montages? It's one after the other. I don't care if I sound like a broken record at this point, I do not understand this choice. It's literally structured like a musical in that you'll have maybe 4 or 5 lines of dialogue and then boom, you're in a montage for the next 3 minutes. At one point, Mags just sits down and sings a song. Did they use this time to cover any other character, like maybe cutting to what the killer's up to at this point? No. We just sit in a room and listen to one of the most unlikable I've ever seen in a movie sing. And speaking of Mags, I cannot believe that he gets away scot-free. He's an aggressive from the very first time we get to hear him speak, and then at the end the nicer characters get and dismembered as Mags is outside the apartment spewing vitriol in his supposed friend's direction. For all his personality that I was forced to sit through, I thought I'd get to see him die horribly at least, but no. Oh, and this matters less, but still bothers me. What's the killer's deal? Why is he killing? Is this just a once-a-year thing? If so, why Christmas? There are plenty of questions, and while I've seen a lot of movies that don't bother to explain the killer's motive, I really wanted one here. This killer seems so together, so precise in his actions that I'd love to know why he does what he does. And it's not like you didn't have the time. Take out Mags singing that song and replace it with a smidge of backstory. Maybe in the sequel? Yeah, I know. There's not going to be a sequel. In terms of the gore, I stand by my assertion that this is an excellent extreme horror movie when it decides to be. The smashed open head, baby saw, and Aline's brutal stabbing are all great. I just wish it was spread out across the film rather than put at either end. Onto the production, and I think I've moaned enough about it, honestly. A stupid amount of montages and terrible editing. All in all, Christmas Cruelty has all the correct parts for a classic, but they seem to have been assembled by a blind and drunk lunatic that hates horror movies. It's a real disappointment, but at least we do have those glimmers of greatness that peek their way through the boredom. As a Christmas slasher, I could have done worse, I suppose, but it could have also been so much better. If you like brutal but sparing violence in your Christmas cracker, then this might be one to put on in the background during dinner. And if Grandad complains, kick him in his face. He never did nothing for you anyway.
So that was my review for Christmas Cruelty. What do you lot think? It's such a shame with this one, as you can plainly see there's talent behind the camera. Again, sorry to repeat myself, but from what I've seen, this team could most certainly make an epic extreme horror movie if they wanted to. They just decided they wanted to do something else in the middle. I haven't looked into it yet, but I'm really hoping the filmmakers have made something since with a little bit more of what was in the opening and closing. Especially the upsetting bits. Aline getting and then stabbed 14 billion times was horrible. Speaking of which, if you want to see hat tall friend's head get decapitated completely uncut and early, head over to patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons. There you can find the uncut version of this review, plus others with more stuff being added all the time. We got the uncut reviews, Patreon exclusive reviews, slasher comic breakdowns, the Discord, and the commentaries. And all that can be yours for as little as $2 a month. You can pledge more, I really appreciate it, and this year, if you do, you get to go straight on the nice list. If you're on the naughty list, it means I'm gonna come to your house and your dog. Do you want a fat man in an overcoat to come and your dog? Be honest. No? Oh, okay. We'll just donate to the Patreon then. So that's it for another week. Like the video, leave a comment, and click subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Jonjo Lyons, and this year, I'll leave you with a joke. What did the deaf, dumb, and blind kid get for Christmas? He got his dog because he didn't join the Patreon. I'm gonna your dog.